88.1 was the closest thing we had to like pirate radio. Even though it wasn't pirate radio, it felt like pirate radio because it would only be on for like a minute and then it'd be gone.
I actually found out about 88.1 after I started going to shows. I think my mind was kind of blown that there was a student radio station here.
Well, it was like an indie record store that you could play on the air that people would listen to. So it did help a lot, you know. You never heard, you don't have another chance to hear those bands.
I would sit in my parents' stereo and turn on 88.1 and I'd make mixtapes just off of 88.1.
88.1 started around 80 at Kennewick High electronics class. It was thought to be sort of a pirate station because it kept getting more and more power, and they weren't supposed to do that. I think the government plus the instructors said, hey, we need to make it legal. And so work was made to actually get a real radio station.
Probably 99% of all local bands' first radio play was on 88.1. Had to have been. You know, nobody else is going to touch it.
That station, I mean, they would play stuff, obviously, that stations wouldn't play.
Right. 88.1 were important because while the format was hard rock and heavy metal, they were able to play a little bit of other harder music that no one else played here because all the radio stations here were mainstream.
You know, I thought 88.1 really gave a lot of bands a lot of exposure and exposed the music, but that's what the kids were listening to.
It was put in here at TriTech at this tower outside in 1984. December of 84 is when it went on the air.
It really was our station because the DJs were the people that were playing shows. I mean, Isaac from Loudermilk was a DJ on there. Loved calling into his show and making requests on there.
And you could like hear some like rambunctious recording getting blasted on 88.1 and it like created excitement. When I think of 88.1, I think of One Eye Open and I think of Small.
I remember hearing like Stupid Girls on 88.1 and to me that was like a hit that was on the radio. Maybe we could play a show at the Hodam, like maybe 88.1 will play our song.
Your goal is to make a demo tape and hopefully
get it on
play your song.
Yeah.
I remember the first time actually being at work and all of a sudden hearing, my band's on the radio. Yeah. That is so cool.
If you were a local band and you recorded your demo, you could get that played on 88.1 just by like, well, I got a friend, like my friend Tony, I'll just give him the tape. There was no sort of system of checks and balances, like Karsten's wasn't saying, what's your playlist? Let's review each song. There wasn't that.
Every show, every Hoedown show, every VFW show, every Fairgrounds show, every demo tape, every band that got together in their garage, every band that recorded, every band that like, it was all part of it and it was all important.
There's a radio station. Wow, we can actually share now. We can share our ideas rather than, you know, one person at a time handing a cassette that you dubbed.
Right.
It was amazing.
Go over to 88.1, hand them a flyer and say, hey, promote the show. Or I knew people who were DJs that would promote, you know, whatever show that was coming up, and just having that connection with them, I feel like it was just as important as having a flyer that you could put on somebody's, you know, countertop.
When we did a show at the fairgrounds where 1,000 people showed up, it was unbelievable.
There was something else going on advertising now.
Like we just couldn't even believe it.
It was like, okay, we're doing shows, and okay, we're putting out records, and now we're putting out CDs, and oh, and now we have a radio station. It was all just part of the same thing, and we had no freaking idea that it was as important as it was. Looking back on it, it was 88.1 was just as important as any other element of our scene at the time. Just as important, because it was part of it.
KTCV or 88.1 in the Tri-Cities, I can absolutely say that some of the things we did were good and some not as good as they could have been. But we tried.